Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable, where we bring you some of the top professionals in the industry. My name is Skip Robinson. I'm going to be your host, and today we have Mr. Danny Poulos with us with Elite Lending Team from Fembi Mortgage.
Thanks for having me, Skip. We're going to have some fun today.
Danny, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about you, your team,
Sure.
How long you've been in the business?
Absolutely. Well, we've been together about 25 years now, my team. So through the ups and the downs, sometimes we feel like we're the last man standing now after such a long time. But that's how long our team has been working together. Everybody from processors to originators to management, marketing. So everybody sort of knows what they're supposed to be doing by now. And it's sort of made it easy to go through the turmoil in the business when you've got such a tight-knit team. But we've been doing mortgage lending for that long.
Wow, 25 years. That's
It's changed.
How was your team? How's your team set up? Tell me a little bit about your team.
Well, I do the fun stuff like this, like come and talk to you on TV. And there's 3 originators that work on my team, and they dealing with realtors and holding the customer's hands, making sure everything happens in a timely fashion. As you know, that's one of the hardest things now with all the new regulations and guidelines. It's hard to get things done on the right time frame and time schedule so that everybody gets to that closing on time.
Excellent, excellent. One of the things that I wanted to talk about with you today, I heard you at a conference a couple weeks ago, and you were talking about purchasing, using a reverse mortgage to purchase property.
Right.
I'd really like to tell you, viewers
Absolutely.
a little bit about this.
Well, you all see those retired actors and politicians on TV talking about reverse mortgages, right? But usually they're talking about it in a way where you're living off the equity in your house. So they're telling people, go ahead and refinance with a reverse mortgage, live off the equity, and you never make a mortgage payment. All the things they're saying in those commercials are true. You get to keep your house. People get scared. The bank can take your house. It's not true. You can't outlive the reverse mortgage. It's insured by FHA. So you always get to keep your house. You never make a mortgage payment. It's very easy to qualify because you're not making any mortgage payments. So as long as you can afford the taxes and insurance, you're pretty much okay to be approved for a reverse mortgage.
So you wouldn't make a payment necessarily, but taxes and insurance and those expenses you're still responsible.
Absolutely correct. So you've got the expense of taxes and insurance, but the interest expense of the money you borrowed is really being paid with the equity in your house.
Okay.
So you're putting a sizable down payment down or borrowing a smaller portion of what the house is worth than in conventional financing. But just like you said, you never make that mortgage payment. So
who qualifies for something like this?
Well, the key is this. Those people are talking about it normally as a refinance. Right. But people that are over 62 years old can also use that product to purchase a home. Okay. So if you think about it, if you're coming from up north and you're retiring, and maybe you've got $300,000 from the sale of your house, a lot of people think if they're just living off Social Security or their pension, that they're not going to qualify to buy a house, that they're going to have to pay cash. So there goes that $300,000. What they can really do, and what most people don't realize, is with a reverse mortgage, you can put about half of that money down and then buy a house and never make a mortgage payment. So rather than spending $300,000, put $150,000 down, get a $300,000 house, easily qualify for that mortgage, not make any mortgage payments, have $150,000 still in the bank
for the rest of your life. Wow.
Yeah, but on TV, they're not talking about it like that, you know.
Right. Well, that's pretty interesting. One of the other things that I heard you talk about at the conference the other day was the mortgage credit certificates for first-time home buyers. So now we're going from the elderly to the first-time home buyer. Tell us a little bit about that program and how does it work? Absolutely.
Well, you were really paying attention at that thing. You picked everything up. So yeah, a mortgage credit certificate is for first-time home buyers. It's administered through Florida Housing, but the key is that you've got to be an approved lender to be able to issue these certificates. And I'm proud to say we're one of the few approved mortgage bankers between Boca and all the way up to Treasure Coast that's authorized to issue these certificates. So again, it's not through Florida Housing. You've got to qualify in that there's income limits, but it's not for low-income housing. I mean, for a family of, let's say, three, a household of three, it's up to close to $100,000 that you can have in earnings and still qualify for the certificate. So you've got to go to a community home buyers course, which can be like 6 to 8 hours, and people even do them online now. But you've got to do that. Benefit to the homeowner is it's a tax credit of either 50% of the interest they pay over the course of the year or $2,000. It's capped at $2,000. But it's a tax credit, not a deduction. So if you're getting a $2,000 tax credit, we issue you your mortgage credit certificate, you file that with your federal income tax, and you're going to get a $2,000 credit. So that's right off your taxes.
Off your net income?
Or what you might owe the IRS.
Your net tax?
Yeah. Okay. So if you owe them $4,000,
wow,
you only owe them $2,000. So Skip, it's like $2,000 in your pocket. And it's not a one-time deal. This is for every year that you live in your house as your primary residence.
So first-time home buyer.
Right.
Fairly liberal income requirements.
Absolutely.
What is a first-time home buyer?
Good question. You can't have owned a house for the last 3 years, but there's also an exemption for veterans. So if you're a veteran looking for the same program, you definitely don't rely on that 3 years not owning a home. Call us and let's see if you qualify. And that's really what we tell people. Don't try to figure this out for yourself. Call us, and in a 3-minute conversation, we can figure out if you're going to qualify for the certificate. And really, think about it. If you're in your house for 10 years, $2,000 a year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's $20,000.
Right. Yeah.
That you're walking away from if you don't do this.
Well, those are two excellent programs that you offer. Another thing I remembered from the conference was that you talked about non-conforming condos. And for those that don't know, a non-conforming condo is a condo that doesn't meet the criteria that Fannie Mae offers, and therefore you can't get a mortgage from Fannie Mae. So Danny, tell us a little bit.
You just can't get maximum financing for Fannie Mae. I know that's what you meant. Normally you have to put 25% down, and you can to borrow there. But a lot of these Fannie Mae certificates, these approvals have just expired, and people haven't bothered to go back and get reapproved. So we actually do that internally. So you may think that you have to put 25% down to move into a certain condo building, but we can go through the guidelines, see if it qualifies for Fannie Mae, even though no one has gone through the Fannie Mae process, and still get you in those type of properties with as little as 5% down. So it's important that that you actually go through the procedure and not assume that you have to put a lot of money down.
Well, excellent, good stuff, man. I really appreciate it. Why don't you take a few minutes to tell us how people can get in contact with you? Okay, absolutely.
Again, we're the Elite Lending Team at Fembi Mortgage. MyEliteLending.com would be the website. If you want to know more about mortgage credit certificates, you can go to myelitelending.com/MCC for mortgage credit certificate. And all the things we talked about are in one place or another on the website. If you'd like to call and talk to us directly, which we always encourage you to do, the direct line is 561-575-5626. If you find that hard to remember, it's 575-LOAN, L-O-A-N, and it's been that way for almost 25 years. So hopefully you find us easy to find.
Well, hey, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me today. We had a good time and a lot of great information.
We'll be right back with another. Estate Roundtable. I'm your host, Skip Robinson, and in this segment we're going to be talking with a short sale specialist, Mark Green of Short Sale Operations. Mark has successfully completed over 3,000 short sale transactions to his credit. Hello, Mark.
Hi, how are you, Skip?
Why don't you start out by telling us who you are,
Okay.
about your organization, and how long you've been doing it.
Great, okay. Well, my name is Mark Green, and I run the short sale department of the law office of Richard Weinstein. Back in the 90s, I was a real estate investor, and I got involved in short sale negotiating with business partners and myself. And, you know, we learned the ins and outs of it, and I probably negotiated over 100 short sales in the 90s. At that time, they were a lot different than they are today. In 2006, 2007, quite a few realtors came to me and said, you know, we're hearing about something called a short sale. Do you know, we know that you're an investor and you do a lot of work with these kind of things. Can you come and speak to our organizations? And so in early 2007, I spoke to a group of realtors, and at that time, what I wanted to do was to instruct them on what a short sale is and how they can do short sales themselves and be able to successfully complete a short sale for their clients, their retail clients. And what happened over the next 6 months, many people were interested in knowing this information. And many came to me, many realtors, and said, look, I just want to be a realtor. I just want to list property, I want to sell property, I don't have time to be on the phone, I don't have time for all these strategies. Would you consider negotiating short sales for us? And so by the middle of 2007, I decided to go ahead and make a go of it. Mm-hmm. And since then, we've grown, and we're 2012, we had 17 employees. We're negotiating over 500 short sales any given time.
Wow.
Now, it's gotten a little bit, you know, there's not quite as many short sales now, and so, you know, we probably have 200-300 short sales negotiating now, but I think they'll be around for a while.
Yeah. How long? Would you? Couple more years? 3?
You know, a lot of people ask me, a lot of realtors, they say, well, you know, how long are short sales going to be around? You know, they've been going on for almost 7 years. As a part of a real estate transaction for a retail buyer with realtors involved. And, you know, a lot of them have been cleared out. In the beginning, as you know, it was toxic loans, things like that, problem loans, and people were defaulting because they couldn't make the payments. Most of those type of short sales have run out. We've pretty much short sold all those, or they foreclosed. And now what we're getting to are the people that got loans in 2004, 5, 6, even part of 2007. You know, when the market was very high, the prices were still high, but they qualified for a mortgage, and they've been able to make payments all this time because you know, they had a job and they were able, you know, they were qualified for the loan. Here's what happens now. Is a property that may have been, you know, worth something maybe $300,000 in 2006, and now even though the market has come back, you're looking at maybe it's worth $200,000 now. So they're still upside down. Well, they can afford to make the payments. They've got a little money in the bank. Right. The problem is they're getting a divorce, they're getting married, their family's growing, their family's getting smaller, they're getting a job transfer, all the normal things that happen to people in everyday life that causes them to have to move, and they don't have the money to write a check to add to the proceeds from the sale to allow the sale to go through. So those are the people that we short sale for now, and I think it's going to go on for another 2 or 3 years because there's still quite a few properties underwater. Although properties have come back in value since the bottom of the market, which is 2007, 2008, they're still not back where they were, and some people are still underwater.
Oh. Does your company provide the title insurance for these short sales?
Well, I mean, our organization, you know, we work with different title companies, or we have our own title company as well. Okay. So the short sale department itself is a self-contained entity. We can work with other title companies, but unless it is a title company that we're familiar with, that we have a working relationship with, we usually like to do it in-house. I don't have time to explain the whole procedure and ask title companies that don't know me to put money into lien searches, to do HUDs over and over again.
So you guys do
with
all
no
that.
expectation. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha,
So.
gotcha. As a realtor, one of the first things my clients are always very interested in right now is the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that?
Yeah, let me just give you a little bit of background on that. The Mortgage Debt Relief Act was signed in the end of 2007 by President Bush, one of his last acts. And what it said was if it is your primary residence and you've lived in it more than 18 months, and there's a couple other small qualifications, that when the deficiency is written off, and I'll explain deficiency in a moment, when the deficiency is written off, you are automatically waived of any responsibility to pay taxes associated with the sale. Now, for our viewers, real quickly, what is a deficiency, in case any of you aren't quite sure about that? If there is a property that has a loan on it of $300,000, the real estate sale today yields that lien, or the bank, $200,000, then there is going to be a shortfall of $100,000. That is the deficiency. There's only two things that can happen with a deficiency. Either the bank writes it off, and then they're going to have to send you a 1099 as per the mandate from the IRS, or they don't write it off, and they're still going to hound you for the money. That's not a good result.
Right.
So we always strive to get the deficiency written off. Now, that begs the question, what happens when a consumer receives a 1099 for the written off deficiency balance from the proceeds of the short sale that were written off? Do they have to pay tax on it? Well, the Mortgage Debt Relief Act that was enacted in 2007 expired December 31st of 2013. Now, many of us think that it will probably be retroactively reenacted, but we can't be sure. Now, it is right now in Congress, and it is there's no opposition from either political party, so it's just a low priority item, and it needs to be added to a bill, but it should go through. If it doesn't go through, the IRS Form 982 will provide relief for most homeowners doing a short sale, so most people probably won't pay tax anyway.
I'd like to just tell a viewing audience, for all those realtors and homeowners, call your congressman, because this is an important thing. We need to get this act back in legislation and passed. So please do that. Well, Mark, tell people how they can get in contact with you.
Oh, okay. Well, again, my name is Mark Green with Short Sale Operations, which is a department of the law office of Richard Weinstein. You can reach me by telephone, area code 561-841-7608, or you can email me at mark@shortsaleops.com, SHORTSALEOP as in Paul, S as in Sam.com. I am always happy to speak to any realtor about their short sale scenario, whether they want me to negotiate it or not. I am happy to share all my information with any realtor, so feel free to call me if you have questions regarding short sales. It's changing every day, but we're on the front lines. We do a lot of short sales. We see those changes, and I'm happy to share that information with any of your viewers.
Well, thank you for taking the time with us today.
Well, thank you, Skip.
I appreciate
I appreciate it.
I have a bunch of more questions. Will you come back sometime?
I'd be glad to come back anytime.
Fantastic. Anyways, Mark, we really appreciate it, and we'll be right back with the next segment. We're here with Billy Hineline. He is president of the FWH Professional Group. He's an author and a contributor to the show. And welcome to the show, Billy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know that you and your team specialize in working with sellers.
We do.
What are some of the most important things that you would tell to a seller before they decide to sell their property?
Right out the gate, there are three things that you want to deal with. First of all, and one of the most important aspects here, picking the right realtor. You got to make sure you got the right realtor to sell your property. Second would be have your home price right for today's market. That's very important. Overpriced markets are going to sit there. And thirdly, have your home in show shape and show time. People don't have their house ready. Realtors work very hard to get the folks to come look at your house, and the bushes are going crazy and everything. They're not going to make an offer on that property.
Okay, so first one you said, pick the right realtor.
Picking the right realtor is huge. You know, real estate is like a doctor or a contractor. You don't call a roofer for a leaky toilet. Right. So you don't want a commercial realtor to handle your property. There's somebody that might be the very best luxury home salesperson out there. They can't sell a $200,000 house. That's not where they have their connections. So you can, if you're starting out as a seller, you can go to realtor.com, for example, and do a search. Put in the information about your home. How big is it? How many bedrooms? How many baths? Your geographical area. You want to search for sold homes in the area and homes currently on the market. Based on that, you're going to get those lists, and you're going to see which realtors in those areas are handling those properties. That's a good place to have you start your short list, and then interview those realtors and come up with the person you're most comfortable with.
That's a good idea. As far as pricing your home right in the market, I know that you're second on the list.
That's huge. Well, first of all, people don't understand this. How much you pay for your house, how much the guy's house next door, so forth, how much you think you need to net out of your property has nothing to do with real value. Your realtor is going to do something called a CMA. It's a comparative analysis of, again, properties that have sold in your area, properties that are currently on the market. From that, they're going to come up with how much your property is worth today. This is a very important number. It's what banks are looking at. It's what your insurance companies are looking at. It doesn't matter if you have your home overpriced and you get a buyer that needs a loan because it's not going to appraise, you're done.
You're done, yeah.
You have to be priced right for the market.
Well, that's some pretty sound advice. Why don't you tell the folks how they can reach you?
Very good. Well, you can reach us at our website, which is FWHProGroup.com. If you have any questions about selling a property whatsoever, you can email me directly at FWHProGroup@gmail.com. I welcome your questions, and I don't care what they are. If you're selling a home and you're getting a lot of activity and no offers, you want to talk to me. If you have your house on the market, you're getting no activity, you want to talk to us. And if you're just a first-time seller, you'll also want to. Also, you can go to our website, FWHProGroup.com, and buy my book coming out shortly. It's available right now, called Seller's Guide for Today's Homeowner.
Excellent. Okay, good. Well, that brings us to the end of the program. We'd like to thank our sponsors, DB Home Improvements of the Palm Beaches and Northern Treasure Coast, and FWH Professional Group of Palm Beach Gardens, and who is assisting sellers everywhere. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you right back here next time on the Real Estate Roundtable.